Hello and welcome back to the Jacksonville History Show. I'm Emily Liska, Executive Director of the Jacksonville Historical Society. And what a stellar guest list we have today. We have Dr. Fran Kinne, we have Rody Borg, Professor Borg, and we have Alan Verlander, all from Jacksonville University. And the stories everyone's telling and hearing, this is marvelous. And I'm going to start off with Dr. Kinne because this is a rather recent photo I hope they can get. And this is when, well, I don't know how recent, the new business school was dedicated. And Dr. Kinne, talk a little bit about that and the people in the photo and just what all of this has meant and that kind of leadership from our city community ranks has meant to JU.
We've had great leadership. We really have. And Dr. Romsberg, who's the current president, has been outstanding. He has led us now and certainly continued what we had hoped in growth, because we are. And the College of Business right now is a star, actually a star, at what happened this last year. Of course, I can't help but be amused about Rody Borg and Alan Verlander both being with me because, of course, I've known Alan since he was born, and he comes from this great family of sports enthusiasts, and so it's wonderful that he's with us. And I always tell every school is trying to get him, and we're not going to let him get away. But then also with Rody Borg, because as a professor, as a young professor, and in an unair-conditioned building with windows open and doors open, and squirrels walking in and little snakes and all sorts of things. Outside my window was Rody Borg, and his companion was Dr. Johnson's daughter, and then they had this little dog, this cute little dog, and they were wandering around in the swamps with their cowboy boots on. And so I always think about that as the beginning of JU, and then where we've come, and isn't it wonderful that Rody is still there as a very distinguished professor.
And I know that about you. In talking about your tenure there, and I want to go back to this photo for a minute too, because when you look at this photo and you talk about having this distinguished leadership, the leadership for Jacksonville University not only comes from within the staff and faculty, but it really does come from our community as well. I know Flo Davis is pictured here, and let's see, who else is pictured here, Rody?
Seated next to Flo is Dan Davis,
Dan Davis, oh, of course. Okay.
And then at the podium, that's Michael Cascone.
And these are all people who have stepped up as such leaders for Jacksonville University. And Dr. Kinne, you were telling me you and Mrs. Davis speak nearly every day on the phone.
Yes, she's such a remarkable woman, and she was a great leader, chairman of the Board of Trustees. At the time I was president, she was on the board, became president, chair of the board. At that time, we were the only two women in the country in those particular positions. Oh, but she still is remarkable. She really is. She carries on. She's 100 years old, and she's an inspiration for everyone.
What year do you think that was when she was chair of your board? And
I can tell you exactly.
Okay.
Yes, because Dr. Johnson had asked me, he was way ahead of his time, and Dr. Johnson had asked me in 1960 if I could name somebody that would be appropriate for a woman for the board. And I had already become a good friend of Flo's, and so I said, she's a winner if you can get her to do that. So I think she came on in either 61 or 62.
My goodness, and what a remarkable distinction for Jacksonville, yeah. This female president, this right. Female board chair. I'm going to show, speaking of teaming up with community leaders, we have Dr. Borg with our own, the late Congresswoman Tilly Fowler. And Tilly was such a supporter. I have to say Congresswoman Fowler, but everybody knew her as Tilly, of course, and such a supporter of Jacksonville University. You want to speak to that a little bit, Dr. Borg?
Well, that was at an event that we held in the Davis College of Business building. But you know, she's very important at that institution, and because of her continued support of JU, and then also because of the Navy and everything in town, you know, that's where our NROTC facilities now bear her name.
Oh, indeed, in those Jacksonville universities, it is the Tilly K. Fowler.
It's the Naval ROTC program, the buildings over there.
They're on your campus?
Yes.
Okay, and for people who have not seen your campus in recent years, I know, Alan, you perhaps can speak to this because a lot of the expansion certainly has been for beautiful athletic facilities. And some of it, oh, the dormitory facilities back there made me want to move in last time I rode back through there. Can you talk a little bit about some of the athletic expansion, the facilities?
Sure. I mean, over the last 5 years, I guess, since I've been there, we've done about $12 million worth of facility enhancements to athletic facilities. And we're in the process of raising money and doing all that for more athletic facilities. So with our football stadium, with our baseball stadium, we just built a beautiful $3 million rowing center right there on the river that will be sitting next to our MSRI building, Marine Science building. So a lot of great athletic facilities that have come about thanks to people from the city of Jacksonville and our alums and private donors that have stepped up and believed in the vision that we've created. But I think you're right. I think all of the campus, the landscape, certainly since I was a little boy there walking around, has certainly changed as well.
It's gorgeous, and right on that beautiful St. Johns River. In fact, maybe we can show, I wonder if some of those facilities have catapulted some of this great success you've had in 2009 with your sports teams. I believe this is baseball, am I correct?
That is baseball, and we won the 2009 baseball championship there. An interesting story about last year, we won 7 championships, all in Division I, and we were one of 2 schools in the country in the Division I to win football, basketball, and baseball.
And I know some of your women's teams were top winners too.
We did. We have our women's track team is currently ranked 24th in the country, and a lot of our women's sports greatly excel. Our women's soccer team has done just superb. We've won back-to-back tennis championships on the women's side as well, and our track program is astounding. So last year we had 2 off of our women's track program that went and tried to qualify for the Olympics. So we not only attract great students but great athletes as well.
Believe it or not, we have less than 1 minute left, so I'm going to read something very quickly and have very fast responses. Celebrities you brought to the campus. Jon Stewart in 1993, who knew him then? Neil Diamond, Duke Ellington, Bob Hope, Jack Benny, Billy Joel, Casey the Sunshine Band, John Denver, and then you had Leanza Cornett, Miss America 1992. And that's without presidential visits. And I think I must be leaving out a lot.
You're leaving out a lot.
Yes.
Ann Landers, Dear Abby, I mean, I could go on, probably 20 more.
Well, you know what? We're going to have you go on because we're going to ask you to please come back for another show, all of you. You've been delightful. We've loved briefly celebrating JU's 75 years with you. Thank you so much for being here. And I want to thank all of you for listening to our show. And as for now, that's history. Bye-bye.